We can start. This is still the stage for data security in cloud, which had a short break until now. My name is still David Schimwert. I'm the policy officer for data economy at Bitkom, and feel free to ask any questions during the talk already. Put them right into the chat. I'll read them out later if there's time left. Feel free to tweet about this at hashtag PCO22. And now let's start with the slot. With me, I have Bastian Bilker, who is a digital strategy director at Marshall Stewart and Delaney. And I also have with me Schultze-Melling, who is partner and co-founder at Gunnercooke and at NxtGen-Privacy. Welcome to both of you. The title of your talk is Time for Change, Data Privacy as Competitive Differentiator in Marketing. I'm very excited to listen to your talk. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, yeah, welcome everybody. Good to be here. Yeah, we've already been introduced right now, so I don't really have that much to add, only maybe that Marshall Stewart and Delaney, the company I work for, is a digital consultancy and implementation partner for B2B or B2C companies active in marketing. Yeah. Yin, do you want to add something? Or?
I have hardly anything to add to. I'm doing privacy for as long as I can think, which is now probably more than 20 years. Things have changed over the decades, I guess, and I guess what we're going to talk about today, you know, time for a change, is not the first time that I have these words in my mouth while being a privacy professional, but I think it's more urgent than ever, right? And so let's dive right into it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start. Time for a change. That's our title. And we want to focus today. We want to give you a few impulses, basically circling around what we believe the really great opportunities companies have in marketing if they embrace data privacy as a value and really strive to live up to it. I think it's quite clear that the compliance with the legal requirements have been an issue in marketing before, but yes, this has been a right the last few years. It is definitely on the agenda now. I don't think that there is any marketing responsible person in marketing anymore that's not really dealing with these issues, and we all know it's very important. Still, it's not really a loft task maybe for many in marketing. As we heard today at the start of today from Ms. Dehme, referring to some Bitkom research, there's 61% of German companies saying that Germany is overdoing it with data protection, and maybe that's something that's also in the marketing sphere a little bit the feeling. But we wanna basically really find a change and find a new way to deal with data privacy and really have it to be a competitive advantage for marketing activities. So I will start by addressing the marketing perspective on data privacy. And in order to do that, I will first focus on the object, on the target of marketing, the consumer. So consumers are changing. What we can definitely see is that there's more consumer data than ever before that is available and that is produced by the consumers also. And also consumers have a very high awareness and also high concerns about privacy. And what they want is transparency and trustworthy companies. So what does it mean? Consumers are not the same anymore, they're changing. It's probably better to put it a little bit different and say that the circumstances or the grounds they walk on really have changed and are still changing. The digitization of the entire marketplace, obviously, even before, but even more so now during the pandemic or since the pandemic started, we've seen a huge shift towards e-commerce, of course, or let's say overall towards digital interactions between brands and their consumers and their customers. So the following was true before the pandemic, but since 2020, it definitely has been a cornerstone of the consumer's behavior. they are always on the internet, always online. They search for products, they search for offers there, they learn about brands, they get to know, they fall in and out of love with brands online, and they share their opinions about products and social media and so on. And that basically 24/7. So they're always online. And that's also why there is so much more consumer data than ever before available, also for marketeers to deal with. So I've been in digital marketing for over a decade, and over the years, and especially over the last 5 years, so to say, there's been one trend really that's become more and more solid, which is if you as a brand, if you do not meet the expectations the consumers have out there in terms of product features, in terms of pricing, in terms of brand communication and tonality, the way you are responsive or not responsive on social media, the way you are present or not present in media in general, but also, of course, in terms of the usability of your apps, your websites, your online shops. If you don't provide what the consumer expects from you, then the consumer's gone. He's off to the next brand. He's off to the next offer, and that next is obviously only a blink away. It's just a Google search away, so it's only a matter of a few seconds, and then you're off to the competitor. So what that means for us is experience is very important for the consumer nowadays. And another one of those important consumer trends is a mega trend, is called convenience. So if we look at privacy now, of course, there's been a huge amount of experiences that people, consumers already had when it comes to data privacy. And and I think we can agree that most of these experiences were not necessarily convenient, and all that despite of them, of the consumers being highly aware and concerned about privacy. So let me just give you a few research statistics to back that up. My last key statement, which is that the consumers want transparency and trustworthy companies. So this is from a study from 2022, so fairly new. So and it says that nearly 2/3 of consumers in Germany find that data protection is a very important topic, and they have major concerns about protecting their data on the internet. And also, the study showed that transparency is an important factor for consumers. So when it comes to sharing their personal data with a brand or company, it's in 2022, it was 3/4, so 75% said transparency is a very important factor for them if they want to share their personal data. So how do companies collect data? How do they use it? Those factors need to be addressed in a transparent way. And but what's also very interesting is that these numbers went down since 2018. So in 2018, it was 83% that said transparency would be a very important factor. Now it's 74%, and that also is a trend. So let's just take a quick look at some statistics. This is a segmentation of opinions on data protection in Germany. And what we see here is that we have 40% of the German population being data pragmatists. So data pragmatists here means they pass on their data to companies as long as this brings them clear benefits. So they're very much willing in a pragmatic way to pass on their personal data as long as it brings them clear benefits. Then we have another 37% of consumers belong to the so-called data unconcerned. So these are people who just give little or no thought at all to the protection of their data. So so that together makes up 77% of people that are absolutely willing to make data deals with companies as long as they are not tracked, as long as it's a transparent communication, And they, at least for 40% of those, they get really clear benefits from these data deals. So, and then there's less than a quarter, 22% now, which are data fundamentalists. And these consumers, they do not really want to share any data, any personal data. But like I said, we have at least three quarters of the consumers out there willing to take data deals. And yet they don't have so much trust in the companies. It is not very high. And of course, we in marketing have also done some creepy stuff before, or at least that were the experiences a lot of consumers made. So a lot of stuff that's not at all been transparent and probably not even consented. And I have to say, yeah, that's really not what consumers want, obviously, and what they expect anyway. So they want transparency and trustworthy companies. So I will just show one other topic here, one other statistics, which just shows the opinions on data protection by age. And yeah, what I find really interesting here is that the older generations of 65 years and older is very evenly distributed between pragmatists, unconcerned, and fundamentalists. So maybe not what you would expect.
But if I what is interesting really, if you look at these figures, the younger the people are, the more pragmatic they are, right? In this comparison. Now, that does not, and this is important, this does not mean that younger people don't care for privacy. Data pragmatists do care for privacy. They are concerned about what people do with their data, but they have a, let's say, a more value liberal way to look at the value that they get by providing their data. So the younger the people are, the less an issue is this whole discussion about is personal information somehow a worth that I can exchange in an exchange for something else, be it access to some information, be it actual product, be it maybe money even. So the younger people are, the more they probably have been brought up in our times in which data had become a kind of currency in the background. I personally hate this whole question that data is a currency or you are the currency, because it doesn't really make any sense at all from a more economical point of view. But data definitely is an asset, and as an asset, it has worth, economic worth. And I guess this is the whole line where the whole discussion in Germany, but actually pan-European also goes, right? We all start to agree, I guess, more and more on that. We have to treat data as something that has a value and that is valuable, not just for the company to harvest it and to work with it, but also for the people that this data is actually describing, right? The data subject. And I guess this is especially interesting from a German point of view, because German privacy professionals have a tendency to really focus very, very strongly on this, fundamental right issue with privacy of this. It protects the rights of personality, and that's all true and all right. But it doesn't mean that we don't have, as a society and as an economic area, that we don't have to think about ways how we can introduce both things, both the protection of the individual and the creation of abilities to monetize this information. And what I find really interesting in terms of this information, this data, is the ongoing discussion about, in Germany, the TDDSG, where we are right now talking about, paragraph 26 and personal information management systems, PIMS, which is, when you think about it, a fantastic idea on the first look, at least. People are annoyed by banners. By bad banners especially, right? We all are, right? We hate banners. Why? Because, well, some people out there in the marketing industry still think that it is a cool way to provide an easy way to give me all your data, and to make it as hard as possible to actually, no, don't give me, or just give me a part of my data, right? So most banners, which I find personally extremely annoying, have this big blinking button that says, okay, I'm good with everything. And then the other one that sometimes is just labeled, let's go to the settings. And then in the settings, you can confirm with another click that you want to have the pre-installed settings, which are privacy friendly usually, but you still have to have at least 2 clicks of a mouse in order to get them. People hate this. And the bad thing, if you want to do e-commerce, is if you get a person who might be interested in your products on your website, and they start off that experience by being annoyed about how you treat them, then how can you think that they are willing to spend money on your website afterwards freely and willingly? I mean, it's like having somebody enter your, brick and mortar store in Main Street and slapping them in the face first thing before you say hello, right? You would never do that. You would try to treat everybody nice who comes into your area, into your sphere. And somehow on the internet, not everybody thinks the same way. But still, in that discussion that we have now, the leaked draft, right, of the regulation that is at some point in time going to regulate the whole paragraph 26 and personal information management software is poisoned by a understanding of that marketing is generally bad. Advertising on the internet is generally bad. And this is something that Bastian and I talk a lot about, because, I mean, obviously there is a certain tradition, right? We have history. Marketing wasn't always great. And as I just said, still today has its edges, big edges. And yes, there are still lots of people out there who think still the old traditional way, which is, oh, personal data is something that just lies around, and whoever is smart enough to pick it up and good enough to actually do something reasonable with it is, the winner in the market. And I think what we have to understand, but what the lawmakers also have to understand, is that we need to get away from this. We need to come to an eye level between the person who actually offers something and the person who might be interested in this. And this is, I guess, the big red, tug and cable that we really have as an ongoing subject in our talk today. Marketing isn't bad. It really depends on how you do it. And if you honor that social contract with your interesting party on the other side, if you treat them nicely, they will respect you. They will, happily give you information. And if they are data pragmatists, they will want something in return for it. And if they're younger, as our figures show, the more likely they actually want something in return for this. And I guess companies just have to face up to this and have to change that thinking of, oh, if I don't tell them everything, I might just lure them into, giving me everything they have in terms of data, and then I can do with it whatever I can. Those times are over. And this is, again, the red line through all our talk. This is what has to change. It has a mind thing. We have to change the minds. And Bastian, that is exactly where, you start before I come back to say how privacy professionals need to change as well.
Yeah. Well, you just brought the example of the dark patterns that's being used on the cookie banner issue. I think we've all seen that, and we in marketing, of course, had to deal with that, with those topics in the last years, and are still dealing with it. And that's one other point, I think, from marketing point of view. There has been some, and this has been addressed today many times as well. There were unclear times. It was not clear really what was the right thing to do sometimes. I'm not saying that there's not enough power there and not enough motivation to not do the right thing, maybe even if you know what it is. But I think there's also really a lack of clarity in this whole issue. But yeah, I would like to talk a little bit about the marketing perspective on things. So I said a few things about the consumers, but what is marketing doing with that changing behavior of consumers? Because why does marketing have to change? And it has already changed because we have to keep up with the consumers, and that's very important. And one very important aspect is the fragmentation of the customer journeys. So the way I already said that consumers are changing from one brand to another very easy. They're also changing in the way they interact with brands and products. They're starting at the online shop, they're going to the local store, they're doing stuff on their phone, they're doing stuff on social media, they're replying, then at night they're at their laptop on the sofa, and next day in the business, in the office, on their working desktop PC. So we have a very fragmented customer journey, and in order to really track that, all we have is digital data. So what happened is we went from mass marketing, really basically flooding and spamming everything with messages, to very personalized communication. And that is the aim of a lot of that marketing technology out there as well, to really make that manageable and make that accessible for marketeers, and to have the personalization strategies realize. But that was also exaggerated in execution many times, no doubt about that. But that's really how marketeers try to still meet people along these fragmented journeys, because you don't really have that marketplace anymore where you can post your message and everybody's going to see it. You have to be a lot more segmented and fragmented also in your marketing efforts. So this threat about the cookie collapse, the Armageddon or whatever, that is real, definitely. It's an issue that almost everybody in marketing has to deal with, no doubt. But really, instead of arguing about that and how important cookies are for advertisers in terms of targeting people outside their own platforms and stuff like that, I would really want to focus on another thing, which is what is our task in marketing? Because what we want to do and what we have to do, what's our job to do, is to present the offers that brands have on the marketplace in order for consumers to become aware of them, to consider them, find out more, want them, and eventually buy the product, the service, or whatever it is the brand is offering. So, and to be able to do that successfully, we need to find the perfect spot, the perfect time to place our message and to address those consumers. But how can we do that? So in real life, in a real life showroom, a good salesperson would always be watching the clients coming in very closely and be very much aware in real time of everything that potential buyer does or says, how she or he acts and reacts to anything that's happening and stuff like that. So what is he or she wearing? What does that tell me about my approach to really giving that person the best offer to really close the deal? And in digital, we just cannot watch and listen and smell. All we have is ones and zeros. So of course we have to use technology to listen, and then we can hear what the consumer is saying. And only it should really be the consumer talking to us, addressing us, or at least being aware that we are listening to him right now or to her. So I've addressed the way that consumers are much less reluctant to find new offers and stuff, but their experience, if it's just a little bit off when interacting with you, they're off. And we have to find out what that off means. So that's why data-driven strategies implemented through technology are absolutely essential for marketeers nowadays. Like you just said, you talked about the dark patterns that were being used on the banner. I saw a recent study that says that 97% of the most popular European websites are using those dirty design tricks the dark patterns. And that is obviously not a good thing for marketeers, for marketing, and for the companies that are then after the cookie banner trying to, what Yin just said, trying to place an offer and make some communication. So if you want consumers to trust you as a brand, that's definitely not the way to do it.
And actually, do you know why we both here are so convinced of that fact? Because we know Apple to be a company who doesn't do anything, today unless it tells. And if Apple joins the ranks and actually leads the spearhead, really, of privacy-friendly technologies in their products, when they put anti-tracking functionalities in their browser, when they offer me to hide my emails as a part of their iOS system, we know that they serve an audience. They serve functionality to their clients, to their customers. There is a ton of people out there who get more and more and more annoyed of how marketing has collected data that call it objectively as good as we can, as much as data was collected by marketers in the past, and everything that Bastian said is something that we as privacy professionals have to reflect as well, right? It's not that only marketing must change. This, I guess, has been one of the problems of the past, right? Where we, privacy professionals, and we looked about in our bit and we saw, the marketing people on the other side, right? And we sniffed about them. And we had our ideas about how bad they are and how much they try to misuse any piece of data that they get their hands on, right? I guess this us and them has to change. Data protection, and that is us data protection professionals, have to change. We have to change our minds. We have to start thinking in a different way. Less fears, less us versus them. More, what are the problems? What are the subjects? We need to get down to the point of what we need to solve. And I promise you, there's a ton of issues that need solving that don't have anything to do with, those bad marketing people just try to steal data wherever they get it and they try to use it for whatever they can. And they try to put up shadow profiles and so forth. We have at least 3 different big issues as privacy professionals that we really need to center on, that we need to focus on. I'm not bringing any news really when I just mentioned internationalization, right? Because we all are very aware of this, right? New privacy laws are popping up like mushrooms all around the world. Also, we have a change in existing frameworks that doesn't make our lives really easier. And then the third level really is the deepening of the complexity, right? When you think just about transatlantic data flows, back in the day, right? When we had the safe harbor, that was fine. We transferred the data. That wasn't a great idea. And at some point, Max Schrems made the European Court of Justice recognize that wasn't a good idea in the first place. So then we had the Shield. Then the same happened with the Shield. Now, we have companies who need to go through the exercise of documenting transfer impact assessments, right? TIAs, as a part to be able to actually send data abroad. At the end of the day, I wonder whether that makes it easier and provides better protection of the individual than maybe other kinds of solutions where we work more with technology. And talking about technology, privacy-friendly technologies is something that we as privacy professionals and as lawyers in privacy usually have on our minds, right? Yes, we like to use those terms, but then again, we really need to switch up our game in order to find the actual technologies we need to know. I need to know as much about marketing technology as Basti does. That's really what it boils down to. And we need to change our communication because basically, the communication that we are used to as lawyers that we try to put forward for our clients in order, this is what the law says, this is what you have to put, on the internet, doesn't work. People don't get it. So that's where we have to change too. And when you go to the last slide, this is just the horizon. There's more to come. So we don't have time. We have to switch thinking now. We have to switch gears now, because what I mentioned already, the offer data for value is coming. We have more and more issues with security and privacy. We have technologies that don't have anything to do with cookies anymore, but we have a ton of technologies left and right of it. There's more to come. Bastian, last word.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. For marketing, I think the biggest thing really is to focus on that offer value for data. We really have to find out what that is. That is about communicating with our target groups. So that's why focus on the customer experience, focus on the customer privacy experience, which would be sort of an under subject of the customer experience design thing. And what I think is very important, and Yin said that, and I will come to a close then right now, is that issue of collaborative privacy design. So it really has to be, we are not on the opposite sides, not really, because we both have to be centric around the person, the privacy needed person. So and to design the new way privacy marketing is gonna work has to be a collaborative effort of data security and marketing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Bastian and Yin, thank you both so much for being with us. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for these also very inspiring slides and also the empirical foundation that you provided. I think this was very interesting. Also, given how it was a different talk from any of the other talks. I think this is also why it is memorable and why maybe it makes some people think about some things. Maybe this is also one of our goals. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for contributing, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.